That's right. Keep ignoring the reserve list? I love it. Makes it that much better for me and all the players who are hunting down these cards. It's like going on a treasure hunt, finding that perfect gem to fit into your collection. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel. When we're talking reserve list, for those who didn't know, there are only 572 cards on Magic the Gathering's reserve list. They're old school stuff, and a lot of them are basically worthless. They're not worth a lot of money. They're a buck or two a card still. Some cards fall into that lower range of $10 to $15, mid-range cards from $50 to $100, and it goes up and up until you hit those Black Lotuses and scary cards that are tens of thousands, if not millions of dollars. But there are so many cards that have been going down in price right now that it's basically a paradise for anyone who collects the reserve list and tries to get their hands on these cards. I love bringing these cards up because there's only a few people who actually watch the channel and catch up on these videos to know what I'm talking about, to actually look and learn and see what I see sometimes. And you can disagree. It's perfectly fine. It's a free world. It's just my opinion, guys. But this is what I like to do. When we have the market calm like this, and I saw some of your comments, emails, I know, guys, this is the perfect storm right now where everything's quiet, everyone's eyes are caught on other stuff, and they're forgetting how amazing these cards are. The new bling has got people just kind of attracted right now in a trance. And it's the perfect time to start picking up the perfect cards for your collection in the right condition you want. I know dual lands have been selling off the shelves. They keep ending up on my Hot 10 videos every single Saturday for the last couple of weeks. Why do you think that is when they don't make it normally? Prices coming down, players trading things in, getting in while the getting's good. Whatever choice you make, it doesn't matter. The market's not changing right now, and we still have time to grab these cards. Consolidate positions in certain reserve list cards you really care about, adding certain cards to decks you've always wanted to have. These are the emails I'm getting from everyone, and they are fantastic. It blows my mind when this stuff happens. I get so pumped up because it makes me want to go like just looking for all the cards I'm trying to get my hands on still and build up my collection. And hopefully in September, I can go hunting too for a few extra cards. And remember, if you're buying any cards and you're using TCG Player, please remember to use my affiliate link. You can find it in the description of all my videos. Just click on there, and then I'm getting a kickback of like 3% of whatever you guys spend on the channel. So thank you guys for those who help out. I like to get some extra cards too for the channel. It's pretty awesome. So let's go ahead today. Let's dive in, have some fun. Let's take a look at some very underpriced reserve list cards right now that are probably too good to be true, at least for a little while longer. Let's get to it. So we're starting things out today with Visions, and that is Righteous War. This card was never super expensive, 10, 12 bucks at its highest, but right now you can find these things for like $2.64 US. Now, I use this card, I guess back when Lorwyn and stuff was out, because you could do these mixing color things. Take a look at what this card does. All white creatures you control gain protection from black. All black creatures you control gain protection from white. It's a 3 casting cost enchantment, 1 white, 1 black, and 1 generic. Look at what the card does. When we used to have Lorwyn, they had these black and white cards combos. Some gave lifelink, some gave death touch. You would combo that with this to make your creatures really have extra protection. And it was just a little added bonus that didn't really cost a lot to do. It was a lot of fun, guys. That's all I can tell you. I look at this card now and I realize picking up a playset of 4 for like $6, $7 really is not going to cost a lot of money. And again, I'm going to go for near mint copies. Visions is getting up to be like a 30-year-old set. You see what I'm saying? Cards like this won't come around again. They're reserve list. Is this card the most powerful card? No, definitely not. But it does have some great utilitarian purpose inside of commander decks you might want to build with a black and white deck just to throw people off with the unexpected jankiness of a card like this. And some opponent you're facing off against is got to be using black or white. So it can be a good time. I enjoy cards like this. They add a little bit of spice and flavor to my life. Now, Volroth Stronghold. Guys, this card is back down to where I bought it back in 2020. It has come back down to almost the original price. I paid $105 Canadian. We're almost there now. It's still dipping down right now, but I want to mention it in case people are looking for this card. Volroth Stronghold doesn't really have a drawback. It adds 1 colorless mana to your mana pool. Yes, it doesn't give you color, but at least it gives you mana. And its ability of 1 generic and 1 black to put a target creature card from your graveyard back on top of your library. Wow. Cards like this can really make a deck just zing with the right type of build around it. Guys, I love these prices because at these kind of levels we're at right now, you can really start shopping for the near mint stuff, grabbing it, and not being caught up in a FOMO situation when the market does turn around. It's an opportunity just to get in there at the ground floor on some of these cards. And I think Volroth is still going to go down. I think this card's going to be sub 100 again before anyone really starts picking apart the beast and grabbing cards of this nature. And if you want to just get a played copy, you really can save a few dollars right now by just picking up a moderately played copy and save yourself 15, 20 bucks. Great card, man. Amazing. One of my top picks. All right, Gilded Drake. Now, this one is still expensive. I'm putting it on here today because it has been a lot higher. It's been around 500 bucks. And it's still kind of drifting down. And it's got that lack of momentum that nobody really cares about it. But it is one of those truly iconic cards that people do use and people do forget about. When you take a closer look at this card, for those who don't know it, it's 1 blue, 1 generic. It's a flying 3/3 Drake. But when Gilded Drake comes into play, exchange control of Gilded Drake for target creature of one of your opponents, okay? Or you sacrifice the Drake. So you got to switch it. You got to give them the Drake, a 3/3 for like a 2 casting. But at the same time, when you look at this card, I have a friend who used to use this all the time with Time Elemental and like unsummon it. So you take their stuff, unsummon it. Take your stuff, unsummon it, and keep getting your Gilded Drake back. It was brutal. So keep that stuff in mind. This thing has a lot of playability, and with the price trending down, it might be more attractive to some of the players out there who might be looking to grab this card. I'm just saying, keep an eye if it's a card you're after. It's not like Urza's Saga is being reprinted anytime soon. You never know what Wizards going to find in their secret warehouse stash, but I really doubt it's ever going to be enough to affect the market. Now our next card is Yavamaya Hollow, another iconic, amazing card from Magic history that a lot of players forget about. Now when we're talking Urza's Destiny like this, yes, the foil is very expensive. I get that. I'm not saying go for that foil. If you have one, congratulations. But I'm looking at it and saying, look at the price. It's like half the price it used to be. The card's an amazing thing that lets you regenerate. Again, taps for colorless mana. But for 1 green, you can regenerate target creature. I don't care if Wizards likes regeneration anymore. This card can be used in Commander. It is used in Commander. It has playability. And, I mean, I personally always enjoy the artwork too. But I also like the price. When I see the price like this and realize I can just trade in a few cards of more modern era stuff and get a card that's never coming back to get a piece of Magic's history. Yeah, you see where I'm going with this? These cards at these prices are a steal. They just can't be ignored like that. Yavamaya Hollow, I almost guarantee myself I'm going to pick up a playset at some point soon, and they're all going to be near mint. I'm waiting to see if it dips just a little bit lower because Canadian prices, we're paying a little bit more. You're talking, here you're going to see the market at 84. We're paying like 120. So I'd like it to drop a little bit more because with, shipping and stuff, it can be a little bit more costly. But I'm looking at it. Now, Treachery. Urza's Destiny again. Yeah, the foil's super expensive. Another card that's had a little bit of up and down right now, but from where it was at around 150 bucks, this is kind of a crazy priced card. For those who don't really recognize this card, you're new to the channel, Treachery is one of those old school untap land spells. So it's like a control magic. When it comes into play, you untap 5 lands though. Gain control of target creature. So really, you're casting this for free because you get your land back. That is amazing. And a lot of the reserve list cards of this era, things like Time Spiral and stuff, all do the same thing. That's why they're such iconic cards that have such great playability when you build into your deck what you expect to do when you untap those lands. You don't always have to take the best creature. You just got to take something, hold them off, untap your stuff, and go again. And I have friends who actually recycle this with all kinds of return enchantments, even if the opponent manages to get it off. A great card. And look at that, $70 now US. Wow. These prices have just been falling, and it's epic to see. Now, here's some cheaper cards, okay? Here we have the Pygmy Hippo. This thing was actually at 20 bucks, okay? You're talking $4 US to get this card now. I know, the Pygmy Hippo. Most people forget about this card. Now, it's 1 blue, 1 green for a 2/2, which back in the day was actually a pretty powerful card for the time when you saw this come out in Visions. But when you look at it, it says, if Pygmy Hippo attacks and is not blocked, you may choose to have it deal no combat damage this turn. If you do, defending player draws all mana from his or her lands, and then his or her mana pool is emptied. After combat, you add an equal amount of colorless mana to your mana pool. So I had friends who would do decks like this for Brain Geysers. They would drain stuff out and use it for Brain Geysers. They use it for gaining life with Stream of Life, like simpler cards back then. But when you add this to a green deck, a green and blue deck now, build a commander deck around it, think about what cards allow you to draw, what cards allow you to do things in green, your ability chances and getting tons of mana, and how many times you're going to see some commander player who doesn't have blockers. You see what I'm saying? This is going to be a good card to get out for 2 mana, and it's a really underrated card. For a couple of bucks, it is a steal at this price. It's not 20 bucks. We're talking $4 US. Now our next card, definitely not the best card on the list today. Diamond Kaleidoscope. But I actually have used this numerous times. We're going back to Visions again. It's around $3 US to get this card. It's been a little bit over 10 bucks before on its highest points. But the Kaleidoscope is a 4-casting generic artifact. But it's 3 ability. 3 and tap it, put a Prism token into play, treat it as a 0/1 artifact creature. But I love this part. Sacrifice the Prism token to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. So block, sack it, get some mana. This was a good card back in the day. It had great, for the guys with multicolored decks, we had to play with cards like this. But think about all the things now, like Lithoform Engine, stuff that can duplicate things, double things over, get double the amount of counters, get the double amount of creatures. This card's not that bad. And doing it at the end of somebody else's turn, yeah, it's not the best way, the most efficient way of getting mana, but it's mana or a creature. It gives you a little bit more versatility for a very low price of like a couple of bucks. I'm not saying it's going to be in a top tier deck, but the playability factor for some fun decks with friends is just epic, okay, guys? Especially in a cube too, right? Like, don't underestimate it. All right, now the next card, Tikkas Dragon. Now this is from Mirage. Again, this card's been like 15, 20 bucks. Here it is below that mark. It's kind of staying steady compared to some of the other cards on the list here. It's had a little bit longer of a ride, staying at a lower level. But when we take a look at this stuff, and you realize, getting closer to this dragon, it's a 9 casting cost 5/5. It has flying, trample, and rampage 4, which most people forget about. We used to put lure and stuff on this, make it lose flying, and like just go at somebody with basically a trample rampage 4, make them block with all their creatures. Rampage 4 says, for each creature assigned to block beyond the first, it gets +4/+4. So if you block with 5 creatures, this thing's getting like +16/+16, and it has trample. So it was a great big beastie dragon. So it'd be like a 21/21 if you had like 5 blockers on it. We used to use banding and first strike and give this thing double strike. You could do crazy stuff. And I'm not saying it's the best dragon, but Rampage 4 does not come back anymore. They don't do anything with it. And there's still lots of ways of making your opponent block creatures or fighting people's creatures. This is still a decent card to have around. I love it. I can see why people still buy it once in a while as a fun card. But for $6-7 US, yeah, this is a card you can grab, near mint copy from Mirage, call it a day, and never have to worry again. All right, Northstar. This card was up to $250. Right now, the market price is around $85 US. Northstar is a great card I have used numerous times. 4 casting cost generic, 4 and tap. You may cast 1 spell this turn by paying its casting cost with any type of mana. So even if I don't have the right type of mana, it's okay because I can go ahead, 2 green and 2 other just becomes 4 generic. So if I had a 5 casting different colored spell, I'm talking, I don't know, let's say I wanted to get out Tiamat. I could use this, tap it, even if I didn't have the right mana, I could cast Tiamat. That is crazy. And this card is like, old school reserve list cards like this aren't coming back around. They're not being re-energized into the market. We might get a couple of copies with Dominaria United. I mean, that's true, but so minuscule. And this card's only $85? Come on, guys. That's the price of like a Ragavan. That is crazy to me that this card is so cheap right now. But I love it for those of us who want to grab copies of this stuff. Way to go, Northstar. Keep going down. Loving it. All right, and our last card is Nova Pentacle, again from Legends. Nothing says love like redirecting damage onto your opponents. $74. This thing was all the way up to like 130, 140 bucks. Half the price now. Nova Pentacle in Commander is amazing. 4 generic mana. That's what I love about these kind of artifacts. They can go into any deck. 3 in tap. Redirect damage done to you from one source to target creature of opponent's choice. But if the opponent you choose and you don't have any creatures, that's amazing. Okay? Somebody goes to hit you, you redirect the damage, they're picking who gets picked. You start picking off their creatures, especially if they have no choices but to hit other creatures because you're not playing with any. Using a deck that slows everyone down, slows the game to a halt, things like Mudslide and stuff, and then using cards like this to make them redirect the damage they can deal to you, putting a force field in there, there's a lot of fun that can be had when you start mixing old school cards like this that most people never get a chance to see. You got to have a little bit of love and enjoy cards like this. So take a look at some of those cards. Look at the prices we're talking about. Look where these cards have been. Do you really think, ask yourself, do you really think they're going to stay this cheap forever? Is the market going to stay in this downturn for a longer and longer period and none of these cards are going to turn around? Are they unplayable, unusable? Interesting times. I can't wait to see people's comments and thoughts on some of these cards, as well as cards maybe you're just loving yourself and picking up. Go ahead, put that stuff in the comment sections, guys. I love to see what everyone thinks about these. It's the reserve list. It's not coming back again, and most people still fail to recognize that. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me on the channel today, and have an awesome day wherever you are in the world of Magic. And of course, guys, a big shout out to all the fantastic patrons on this channel who support each and every video I do and allow these videos to happen. Without my patrons, it wouldn't happen. Thank you so much to everyone.